bloody hell.
Here we go.
It's a fucking Halloween. We're going to be revealing our costumes to each other as we did with the Bloodstock episode. 3, 2, 1. Ooh, much spook.
I like it. It's good.
These things. Look how close this is to my head. It's not going to get irritating in the slightest throughout this entire episode.
Not at all.
I don't know what I was doing with my costume. This is all pretty much homemade. I had these cobweb things from ages ago. The face paint is flour, water, and olive oil.
Nice.
I do have real fake blood.
Real fake
Anyway, that's my setup and costume. I cannot wait for what I'm about to see.
Are you prepared?
Yes, I am now prepared.
You thoroughly ensconced in preparedness.
I might knock everything over through laughing, but
Sure, here we go. Oh,
that's brilliant, Alex. What's going on with the eyes? Can you even see?
they're sort of here. Yeah, I can just about see.
Oh, wow, this is going to be a really, really interesting episode, because I can't even... You can fall asleep during my story time, and I would never know. He is sleeping.
Yes.
And I can move this around for atmosphere. See, look, we are so professional. I think in both our cases, this took probably longer than it looks like it did to set up.
It's the careful draping of the spider thing in the background.
That is on such thin ice. It might fall down during this. No, looks like you won't be hydrating yourself for the duration. Oh my god. Okay, the more I look at it, the funnier it gets. This is going to be
so dumb, isn't it?
So anyway, how was your birthday?
Yeah, it's been quite a week of going out and doing things. I went to a gig in Camden. I've barely been home like every night this week.
Sounds like when you came to visit me, to be honest.
Yeah.
To say, I booked an Airbnb. Oh no.
Then we walked 28,000 steps in one morning.
But we went to Glory Holes, everyone. We did it. We went to Glory Holes. We did the thing that we reported on. And the souvenir golf ball is for everyone to see.
My carefully prepared set.
So, as far as I remember, you did like really well. And I came dead last out of all of the teams.
You made sure that everyone else was better.
I did it for the good of everyone else's self-esteem. That's yes, I took the hit. I 7-balled myself, even though that's not the game we were playing.
Multi-ball! I came away from Glory Holes with more golf balls than I started with.
And I came away from that weekend with basically no memory of what happened on Friday evening. I went to the beer festival, got very drunk, met up with you. Yep. We went to the tap, and then shots. Lots and lots of shots. To a point where Eggman, whom we were with, became non-verbal, and he wasn't getting served because he could not speak.
Yeah, good idea that. Going to the bar, not being able to speak.
Alex, you probably remember more of the next bit than I do. Because...
Yeah, so it was at kicking out time, about 1, and you got to the point where you couldn't really stand anymore. You could speak, but not making a lot of sense. And we got to a point of, we need to get you home. We tried to get you in a taxi, didn't happen. They're just like, no, because they could see you like swaying away in the breeze. So we got to a point, like, fuck it. Grabbed you by the hand, put your arm under my arm, sort of anchored you to me, and then I walked you home because I had to be the balance for both of us.
Good. And then there was a mid-journey vomit on my shoes.
Yeah, not a lot came out, but at least you did a little sickums.
That probably saved me from having a horrible hangover, but it didn't save me from what happened next. So, like, I don't remember any of this. I remember waking up in the morning, only half-dressed, top half-dressed, so a straight shirt cock in the bed. And my face really stung, like it'd been slapped or I'd got some kind of road rash or something. I was like, oh no, did I fall over on the way home? Yeah, no, I managed to make it all the way home. That was fine. And I sat down on the toilet to have a shit, as you do. I fell asleep on the toilet whilst having a shit, fell off the toilet and face planted the carpet, causing a huge carpet burn on my face. My fiance comes out and wonders what the fuck's going on, because apparently I'd been on the toilet asleep for a while before this happened. She just saw me like half naked, and I just got up and just crawled into bed, and I just left the toilet full of poo for her to deal with. So that was my embarrassing. Right, now we've got that out of the way, should we start the episode properly?
Sure.
welcome to a terrifying edition of Awards and Adventure Podcast. Some would argue that every episode is unsettling at best, but this week we're making a concerted effort. I'm the Spectre of Sam.
And hi, I'm Bob.
You come to sell me insurance.
Insurance against knowing the unknowable and becoming incredibly mad. Not just angry, but insane.
As one would expect when faced with a Lovecraftian horror that's trying to get a good deal on whatever it is you're selling.
So many deals.
That is not insured, which leads to mess. Join with no down payment on your excess. No matter the location, derelict boat, remote island, the deepest, darkest corners of the universe, your local netto, Bob will be there, watching, waiting. At Bob's, we provide cover for, and indeed against, piracy, with or without violence, horrible stone idols of unknown origin, injury sustained through furious driving, madness brought on by the things that should not be, don't sue us, Lars, boats destroyed by mysterious, possibly otherworldly means, private property becoming occupied by cultists. Our premiums are so low you'll think Bob has lost his mind. You'll be positively mad to pass up on these 12,000 deals. Call today and don't leave Bob waiting. Office hours are whenever Bob is not sleeping. Applicants must be able to swim.
If you saw that in the street, you would think, well, I must have been spiked. Something. As you may have already guessed, we're doing everything is spooky. Spooky questions, spooky songs, spooky existentialism. All of the good fun stuff you have come to expect from us. Can you even read the notes?
Yes. I see all. Also, coughing hurts my own ears, which is not good. That candle behind your head that constantly swings now. That's going to be so annoying to edit with. Continuity. Hex Lady asks, would you do a Cowley-style deal with a demon?
It's from Supernatural, I think.
Okay.
It's basically a deal with the devil.
And have 10 amazing years of wealth and luxury, but then you get dragged into hell by hellhounds at the end of the 10 years?
Yeah, that sounds alright, actually. I'll be in my mid-40s by then if I decide to do the deal, like, immediately after this episode with my Ojo board.
12,000 deals.
Yeah, so probably be quite sick of existing by then. So it's just like, yeah, just drag me to hell. That's got to be more interested in what's going on Earth, right?
Guess the torment of my eternal soul over 10 years of a really nice time. It feels like a good deal.
You are the man that knows about deals.
Much more deals.
Good point, yeah, eternal torment, but that's just what the Bible says, isn't it, really? They're going to, like, undersell hell because they want you to go to heaven. So they're just going to make it sound shit, but then when you get there, you might be pleasantly surprised about how nice their amenities are.
They might have a really good catering company.
Yeah, really good catering company. I may be being tortured forever, but at least the food's nice.
I'm having my skin peeled off and then it grows back again and again, it peeled off again. But they make really nice vol au vent.
And that's all that matters. At the end of the day, Hex Lady, vol au vent.
Our answer is an enthusiastic yes.
Maybe more enthusiastic than you were expecting, but yes. Please take me off of this mortal coil, but give me 10 good years. A poor use of your 10 best years would be to spend it scrolling through Facebook looking for stupid shit like we seem to do in this segment.
Like at least a portion of my waking life is now. Would you like blue box full of conference pairs, free to anyone who wants them, for winemaking, etc.?
Etc.
Etc.
Indeed.
You had me at etc.
You had me at blue box. I think that they've made it a point to say that it's a blue box.
Yeah, it's broken as well.
Ah. Oh, yes, it is definitely... Why did they say it's a blue box? Obvious. In case you're colourblind, the box, which is of no material worth, is blue.
Yeah.
It is also slightly damaged, but they didn't mention that. That's if they're being descriptive about it. There's some alright looking pears. I reckon they've just got a pear tree in their garden. It's like, take my conference pears away.
Please.
They keep conferring.
Please, please.
They keep having board meetings. It's terrible.
They're forming a union.
The last thing I want. I ain't got the time for that admin.
Would you like to buy a black leather chair for £60, but you don't know what it looks like?
Yeah, sure, roll the dice, why not? So just the seller is really just banking on the fact that either you're gullible or very trusting, and that he's trustworthy. £60 black leather chair, not even a question, just black leather. Is that that's a triple space, so black leather chair. Is it going to be one of those chairs that kind of consumes you after you sit in it, like it's a cursed chair?
It's a mimic pretending to be a chair.
Yeah, you're just going to sit in it and it will just fold around you and just digest you, basically. So
Yep. It's going to snap shut teeth and everything.
as a plot twist, the actual Facebook post itself is a mimic. So if you leave it open on your browser for too long, it shreds your hard drive.
Oh.
It's one of those digital mimics.
Oh.
Oh no, wait, that's LimeWire.
I've just realised I've got a different story I want to tell you, but it's only because it's got an amazing title when I found it on Facebook. Kind of a dull story, but it's sexed up in such a way, it's great. Anyway, back to Swipeys. An advert that's simply titled Ice Cream.
You sure it just wasn't someone's excited kid that just didn't know how to use the phone? Ah, ice cream!
Well, it says, we'll be in Shaddixhurst in the playing field car park or the lay-by opposite from about 5:30 onwards tonight. Someone's advertising their ice cream van on a buy and sell page.
There's something, I mean, it's entirely the fault of, I don't know, our twisted fucking outlooks on life. But ice cream van, there's always a little bit of a child snatcher thing about it, especially when you're advertising for it.
Yeah, look at the Dutch angles on that as well.
So Dutch. Gav's soft ice. Is he related to Barry by any chance? Oh, those are pictures of ice creams. I could not see the emojis then. I got a little bit scared. Is there some kind of conch? Also, did Mickey Mouse ever agree to be on all those ice cream vans? Was there some kind of... Walt Disney never signed off on that, I don't think. It just happened. And Winnie the Pooh just sitting on the side like, I don't even like ice cream. I like honey. I can't do his voice. He's got a strange voice. Oh, dear. I sound like an old lady. Yes.
This is the section where we try to sound like Winnie the Pooh and fail.
That's much more common occurrence than you may think in my life.
I'm kind of running out of Swipey McDoodads. I've got loads of stories, but not Swipeys. I've got like one left. Okay, hot water bottle, approximately 30 inches, 76 centimetres long, for warming neck. That's a long water bottle.
Again, it looks like one of those shit posts, doesn't it? With, like Long Boy Shed. It's in the same wheelhouse as it. Like, I've never seen a water bottle in a shop that looks like that. I didn't even know you could get one for warming neck. Imagine that boiling hot water bottle just around your throat. Good.
Just slowly tightening its grip around you and startling you with its warmth.
Like a fucking boa constrictor or something.
Except fluffy.
Fluffy Boeing constrictor. Just an aeroplane that just wraps itself around you.
My mouth is bowing.
My mouth is fuselage.
One final bonus actual physical one. This card that's overexposed came with this.
Okay.
And I'd like to read you an excerpt. Do not wear the mask whilst driving, smoking, or swimming.
Swimming, specifically.
The first thing I think of when I put this on is I need to go in the water.
Well, that may have more sense than you think if you think where Cthulhu comes from. The depths of the sea.
Yeah.
So people are like, I want to do a literal impression, and then they drown because they realise it's a fucking mask.
But seriously, the three things that are suggested you don't do whilst wearing this is driving, smoking, and swimming. Nothing else.
So operating belt sanders is fine.
Yeah.
I can't see that going wrong at any point.
No, nothing like that's going to go wrong at all.
So you can't drive, but you can fly an aeroplane. Wow, they're going to get in a lot of trouble. They needed to make that list more comprehensive.
It's leaving really open to interpretation, and bad things can happen.
Very, very bad things. Bad things happen all the time, and sometimes it gets reported on. But this week, instead of reporting on recent news, I have a very old, historic, old news. This was written on the 3rd of October by, I'm going to fucking butcher this name and I'm so sorry. Gurjeet Nanra. Gurjeet Nanra, yes. Who is a life writer, apparently.
They write for life or they write about life?
Interestingly, it might be the opposite in regards to the context of this article.
Okay.
This is the story of the last person to be publicly executed in Nottingham. Nottingham has the National Justice Galleries of Justice thing, or whatever it is. That used to be where everyone used to get hanged because there's a big gibbet outside of it. Is that what it's called? Gibbet? Giblet. So they hang them from the entrails of all those chickens that got killed the other week from killing the elephant.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be like one of the most sustainable and green cities in England, or 2024, that's the goal. So reuse your chicken innards.
Yeah. And murder by chicken entrails is very sustainable because people love that chicken. Before you go on with your story, you reminded me, because you said elephants, the best mixed metaphor I've heard this week. Let's eat the elephant in the room.
Do you have to throw chickens at it first? Or do you have to kill it first? Is it like a live elephant? You're like, well, this is very challenging.
You slap it until it is cooked, and then you eat it.
Did they mean to say that, or was that just an accident?
I honestly don't know.
Anyway, back in the 1800s, treason, murder, and rape were 3 serious crimes that could see an individual publicly executed for their wrongdoing.
They're not serious crimes anymore.
No, they're serious crimes, but you don't die as a result of getting punished for them. You just rot slowly in jail and get bummed by people. I don't know. I've never been to prison. Obviously, look how fucking milquetoast I am. Anyway, the 19th century saw many capital punishments such as these take place, including the last to take place in Nottingham way back in 1864. Information from the National Justice Museum, which is located where many executions once took place, reveals the last person to face their end by hanging in public was Richard Thomas Parker. The 29-year-old was sentenced to death at the former county jail on High Pavement for the willful murder of his mother 14 years before the prison closed. Richard Thomas Parker was the only son born out of the second marriage of his mother, Elizabeth Parker. According to records held by the National Justice Museum, you're breathing very loudly. That's very disturbing. Parker was initially apprenticed to Mr. B, the butcher of Sneinton. Is it B-double-E?
Not the bee!
So, when his apprenticeship finished, he set up business in Fiskerton, where he worked as a butcher. He was publicly declared bankrupt in November 1862. He attended a cricket match at Newark, where he indulged in too much drink. Yeah, because cricket's fucking boring. Because you've got to be drunk to actually tolerate it. Upon returning to the family home, he had a violent drunken argument with his father, Samuel Parker, who promptly left the house. Samuel's wife, Elizabeth, rushed out of the house to warn her husband that Tom's got a gun. Jesus, where did he get a gun? How did this escalate? 1800s, yo.
I always take my gun to a cricket match.
Firing from the window of the house, Parker shot his father and his mother. Samuel Parker recovered from his wounds, but his wife did not. She died on May the 16th, 1864. Parker was tried at the courts at Shire Hall on Monday, July the 25th, by Mr. Justice Blackburn. What is that the real name of this person? Mr. Justice. Well, it was real nominative determinism right there. So it wasn't even surnames, it was just forename.
What's your son's name? Justice.
He was executed outside the county jail on Wednesday, August the 10th, 1864. The executioner was Mr. Askin. A large crowd of approximately 10,000 gathered in High Pavement to watch the execution. Well, what else you can do? There's nothing on telly because telly doesn't exist yet. So
the cricket match is over, so they're like, well, yeah. I guess we'll mosey on over to this execution.
Let's watch the slow and painful death. Well, it was quite quick, actually. But the scaffold was surrounded by 4 feet high boarding to prevent the public from seeing the prisoner after the drop. Well, that's no fun, is it? That's like watching porn with black bars on it. You don't see death. What's the point of going to an execution? I'm just going to step into this hind now.
Okay.
His body was buried within the prison exercise yard. Oh, I've walked around there, so I've walked on this guy's remains.
On his grave!
That was the last public execution in Nottingham. The gruesome spectacle of an execution was abolished in 1868. Yeah, it got heavily censored before then, by the sounds of it, like they're trying to sort of soft close it. Following this, executions in private continued for nearly a century, and the last executions in the UK were by hanging and took place in 1964, which was the year my dad was born. There's no relation to that. I just remembered it's his birthday in 3 days. Happy birthday, Dad. This goes out after your birthday, but never mind. That was before capital punishment was suspended for murder in 1965 and finally abolished for murder in 1969.
Lowercase punishments continue to this day.
Very good. Camel case punishments.
Pascal case.
2 offences, treason and piracy with violence. Sorry. Not just piracy, but piracy with violence. Can you really do one without the other? Anyway.
There's certain crimes that you just want to get because they have great names. Piracy with violence is one of them. The other one I like is furious driving.
You can combine the two. Furiously driving a boat that's on the road with a car engine in it and also committing piracy with violence. Anyway, these 2 offences nominally retained the death penalty for almost another 30 years, but ended in 1998. So we were old enough to witness, well, not witness, but have someone die as a result of piracy with violence. We can watch it, though. In Nottingham, executions took place at a number of different locations. The last hanging was at Gallows Hill at the top of Mansfield Road. That was in 1820, and that was Thomas Wilcox for highway robbery. Whee! That's basically land piracy. Public executions then moved to the House of Corrections near the present-day Prism. So now it's a fucking nightclub. Great. And
has it improved at all?
No. And also to County Hall, known as Shire Hall in High Fayman. The last execution in Nottingham was that of George Frederick Hayward for the murder of Derbyshire woman Amy Collinson. Amy, 36, was the wife of Arthur Collins, who was the licensee of the New Inn pub in Little Hayfield in the Peak District. On November 11th, 1927, Hayward, who also lived in the village, murdered 36-year-old Amy by cutting her throat at the pub. That's fucking brutal.
Which part of the neck is the pub?
Just it's surely close to the bit where you put the drink in, I guess.
My drink hole.
They sliced my pub hole. Anyway, very tragic. We're making light. He had attacked her from behind when she was cleaning the fire grate and escaped with around £40. That was probably a lot of money in the 20s, so well done. Was it worth cutting her pub for that? 32-year-old was hanged at 8 a.m. 8 a.m. on April the 10th, 1928 by famous Nottinghamshire hangman Thomas Pierpont, and with a crowd of around 200 outside the prison gates. The hanging facilities at the jail were later closed. The new inn is now the Lantern Pike pub, and that is where the article ends. That's just a weird sort of... And we stop writing now. There is no conclusion to the story. So yeah, hanging.
Cool.
Still, piracy with violence. I've learned something. And furious.
You ready for the most underwhelming article based upon probably the most ridiculous eye-catching title?
Yes.
Never-ending cycle of bloodshed ends at power station.
Wow, okay, Jesus Christ. Well, this has got to be a spicy article, right?
No. No, it is
with that.
not. Foxes at risk of being killed at Dungeon SB power station have now been saved, thanks to animal charity, writes Sam Williams.
He came up last week as well.
Clearly I'm a fan of their work. A never-ending cycle of bloodshed has ended after the power bosses agreed to stop trapping and killing foxes roaming onto their land. Their thirst for fox blood cannot be quenched. Earlier this year, it was revealed that the creatures entering Dungeon SB nuclear power station on Romney Marsh have been culled in a bid to stop them potentially damaging the plant. That plant is very precious, it seems. EDF, which...
Sorry.
No.
That was a really long pause. I couldn't tell what you were doing.
yeah, it's not a lot of, I can't really emote with my face.
No, not at all. I thought you were falling asleep. Carry on.
EDF, which runs the site, said it was following Natural England's guidance on trapping, which resulted in a few foxes being killed. A few. But following concerns, the team from charity People for Nature and Peace, PNP, which is dedicated to preserving the Earth's biodiversity, got in touch with EDF after finding a non-violent alternative. Non-violent alternative.
Right.
PNP's founder and chief executive, Dr. Barbara Moss, an expert in fox behaviour no less, said she wanted to do anything in her power to save the foxes near the plant. A spokesman for the charity said, initial phone calls were encouraging. Right from the start, the EDF team at Dungeon S were willing to embrace non-lethal solutions to discourage several fox families from venturing onto the site. As a much appreciated sign of their commitment, the plant's management immediately halted all trapping. This was the best possible start towards finding an effective solution that kept both the foxes and the power station safe, because somehow foxes are a danger to a power station.
Yeah, what were they doing? Were they just bum rushing it or something?
Naruto running towards it, I don't know. Killing the 12 to 15 foxes that visited the site. Remember, this has been labelled a never-ending cycle of bloodshed. 12 to 15 foxes. Killing the 12 to 15 foxes that visited the site would have not solved EDF's security concerns, because new foxes would begin to occupy the newly vacated territories. It's the same wherever the unfortunate and ineffective form of fox control is used. Fortunately, there are far better alternatives to the never-ending cycle of bloodshed. Dr. Mars reached out to Kevin Newell from Humane Wildlife Solutions, who provided his expertise in resolving fox-related issues non-violently. Is that written on his business card? I fix fox-related issues non-violently. Further dialogue of EDF followed and a non-lethal way forward was developed and agreed. The new plan, which was adopted as policy for the EDF Dungeness site, involved working with, rather than against, the fox's natural behaviour. Okay?
Does that mean they've got someone dressed up as a fox and tries to infiltrate and they just convince them to leave?
Yeah.
I like to believe that that's what's happening.
Yeah, they got a human male, adult, dressed as a fox, living with the foxes.
That's believable, but not in a non-fetish way.
It's not a furry. In addition, effective electronic deterrents were fitted to the site's gates because, yeah, we all know that foxes use gates. The spokesman for EDF said, EDF is delighted to have worked with the team at People for Nature and Peace, PNP, and Humane Wildlife Solutions, which didn't have an acronym, to resolve the issue at Dungeness. The expert assistance they provided was most helpful and gave us clear guidance to humanely resolve the issue with our foxes. I think if it was me having to be the spokesperson for EDF, I'd just be like, now just leave me alone about these fucking foxes.
12 foxes is not a never-ending cycle of bloodshed. It's not like the War of the Roses or the 100 Years' War or something. It's just going on and on and on, and people just huge loss of life. It's 12 foxes.
Yeah, it's like 100 Years' War. An army got like 1,000 people killed by a hailstorm. 1,000 people died because of it. No,
Yeah,
it's 12 to 15 foxes.
Oh, sorry, yeah, 12 to 15. That's an important distinction. They're not even sure how many.
There is more. I could continue reading, but I probably shouldn't. Getting to understand them as a species and as individuals, your heart can't help but go out for them and their kind. The situation at Dungeness was resolved quickly and easily because the plant's management was genuinely open and willing to embrace a kinder and better way forward. I'm grateful to them for doing so and hope that the other businesses too will adopt the positive and constructive approach so that wild animals can be safe and protected.
Let's just leave them alone in the first place. What were they doing? I want to know how they were disrupting the power plant in a way that was bad.
I really don't know, but apparently the first option was to kill them all.
Yeah, that was their first go-to, not like, how can we humanely deal with this? And then, for instance, when I lived in London, there was this mouse, which I didn't mind so much, but the person I was living with didn't like its presence at all. So we got humane mouse traps, didn't work. We got some more expensive humane mouse traps, didn't work. So we resorted to actual mouse traps. It came home one day, it had been trapped in the mouse trap, but it had survived, but its neck was broken, so it was kind of like all disoriented and shit. And then it sort of managed to run, and I was trying to hit it with my shoe, and I managed to pick it up, and I just threw it out the window, and it was still half alive. I was like, yep, and now I'm vegan. That's not why. That probably didn't help. I was traumatized by that. I was like, shit.
A never-ending cycle of bloodshed.
Yeah, that was a never-ending cycle of bloodshed. Like, or that one mouse that I definitely doomed to die. If it fall didn't kill it, a fox would have got it.
So there we go.
Oh. So I've just done a fart, but I did a really wet fart earlier, and it felt like a shit myself. So I've done so many poos today, I don't understand. Yeah, so that was, sorry, completely bulldozed over your thing there. No, well, I think it's wonderful that they're finally doing something about it, but without looking a gift horse in the mouth or whatever, they probably should have thought about that as a first option, not as a last resort.
Yeah, it makes sense. If there are foxes there already, and you get rid of the foxes, more will come.
That's how nature works. Unless you're like, it's not exactly genocide if 12 to 15 foxes, is it? So anyway,
Yep.
That was great. That was honestly great. And you know what's also great? The fact that Vincent has given us another fucking long-winded question that only gets to the point near the end. He asked, given the nature of the paranormal is quite vast and varied, are there elements of the creatures and myths that genuinely worry you? For example, if you go to bed at night, it's dark, and your brain starts to prey on you, what are the things that cause genuine dread? Is it ghosts, monsters, or biological beings that could feasibly exist, such as wendigos, demons, devils, or other biblical spirits? Is there anything that can keep you up at night just by passing thought on them?
Yes. To answer that last question, yes, things keep me up at night. I'm an adult human being.
Yes, it's called being an adult in the 21st century.
Yeah, I know, right? There's always something to be worried about. It's not creatures, no cryptids, no paranormal things. Don't particularly, because I don't really think any of them exist.
What about, all those spirits of all those foxes at the power station? What about the ghost of that pigeon that flew into your car?
It's not
and that other pigeon that flew into your car?
the constant cooing of those pigeons, those wood pigeons. thirsting for my blood.
It's like Metal Gear Solid 3 when you fight the Sorrow, and if you've killed loads of people up to that point, all the ghosts of those people run at you or like shamble towards you, and the level takes forever. It's that, but pigeons.
So it's basically saying be a pacifist.
Yeah. I've put the inevitable heat death of the universe. Will I shit myself in my sleep? Will this podcast get finished on time? Yeah, I am the monster I fear.
Yeah, I think we have a similar kind of modern human problems and not the
All look
Babadook.
scaries. If I ran into any of these beings, I'm sure they would shit me up, but it's not something that I worry about. I've got more chance of getting mugged.
Probably more chance of getting killed by a cow.
A cow that's been chucked out of a tornado, just like in that beautiful film. Is it Twister? It's like the CGI cow that just...
Yeah, I think any opportunity to get a cow in a tornado, they will.
You're making a film about a tornado. Let me get my library of pre-made cow models. And then Christopher Nolan goes too far and wants to do it practically. No!
My cow!
Don't worry, the cow was equipped with the state-of-the-art safety equipment before we chucked it into this whirling fucking mess.
The cow was a union man. He died a good death.
Or they, or he, her. No, wait, that's wrong.
More likely a she, but whatever.
She/her. Well, how do we know what gender they are if they don't sign off at the bottom of their emails? Because apparently people don't like that.
Oh, yeah.
A certain person from a certain festival who shall not be named.
They named and shamed themselves quite publicly because of their idiocy.
For sure. So, Vincent, basically, being an adult is the scariest thing of all that keeps us up. That wasn't very Halloween-esque, was it? Sorry, I'm not going to lie to you.
Whoopsie doodle.
You can't fake certain things. Like, I can't fake not knowing what the fuck's going on in this next segment because I never do. And so let's see what Alex has got for me this week.
That's maybe what keeps you up at night is when I hear that 1 second of a song, will I know what it is? I need to take a break to have a drink because my mouth is dry.
Oh, that's what you look like under the mask. So it was Old Man Mills after all.
Would have gotten away with it, went through the endless cycle of bloodshed.
Yeah.
Alright, let's put this back on.
Help, friends, a guinea pig tricked me.
I'm just getting ready for this segment. Oh, that's nice.
Let's go.
Could I have that again? It sounds like you're saying suffer.
He doesn't say suffer in the song.
Suffer. Maybe it's so far. So far away from my baby. Didn't have a chance to do the things that you wanted to do, like fall off the toilet and smash your head on the floor. I don't know what this is. I'm sorry. I'm just going completely.
The line he's saying is "You're so."
You're so vain. I think this song is about you.
No. And you give up?
Nah, I'm sorry. I don't know that one.
All right. Next one. It's got a cowbell in it.
Don't Fear the Reaper by Blue Oyster Cult.
Yeah.
Come on, baby, don't feel the reaper. Baby, take my hand, don't feel the reaper. We'll be able to fly, don't feel the reaper. Baby, I'm your man.
Thank you for that small clue. Ah, yes, Dragula by Rob Zombie.
Yeah, boy.
Somehow expecting it. The back of my terrifying drag it out over a few more seconds, Eula. At the back of my uvula.
Is that where the pub is?
Yes, the pub is in the uvula. In the back of you if you're Robert Zombert.
Please, that's my father's name. Next.
What the fuck? That just sounded like someone farting for a kazoo for a second.
There was an even worse intro bit that I was going to play you. It was like, you'll never get it.
So, I'm guessing they're sort of vaguely spooky themed. Dracula's very on brand.
Yeah.
Is it from A Nightmare Before Christmas?
It is
No,
from
it's
a
not.
film, though.
Is it the soundtrack from the first Halloween film? If it's from a film, that's really going to fuck me off because I should know it. Because me do better at films than music, apparently.
Yep.
Jesus. It sounds like it is a John Carpenter soundtrack bit just because it sounds really weird and creepy, but I might be way off.
It has the line, said without a smirk, bustin' makes me feel good.
Is it Thriller by Michael Jackson? Okay. I don't know then.
All right.
Oh no! I know what it is! It's the Ghostbusters theme
Yeah.
tune! Duh!
I ain't afraid of no
Pineapple
ghosts.
toast. Fucking candle. Yay! It took me a while. It's like, why would Michael Jackson say the word bustin'? Oh. Oh. Brie. Someone's singing about Brie again. That was a good sign. Ah, no. Oh, no. Oh, okay. Just by the sound of it, it sounds very 80s. But I might be wrong. It might be because a lot of modern music sounds like it's from the 80s now.
I wouldn't necessarily call this that modern, but yeah. It's not 80s.
Hey, I don't know how time works anymore. Is it still the 90s? Oh, Jesus. Fucking Christ. Is it off a film again? Is this the whole thing? Is it all, are they off films? Or... Okay, no, okay. No, I'm sorry. But based on that small snippet, I am afraid that it's completely stumped me, even though I'm probably going to kick myself.
Final track.
Zombie by the Cranberries.
The Cranberries, indeed.
My fiance listens to that quite a lot. That's how I... also, her voice is very distinctive.
Yes. So, first track was Creep by Radiohead.
But I'm a creep. I'm a weirdo. What the hell am I doing here? I don't belong.
I really should have got that, being a Radiohead fan and everything. I just don't know why I didn't think that would be part of your...
It's sort of on theme, isn't it? Yes.
Creep.
You actually did very well because you got the next three. You got Don't Fear the Reaper by Blue Oyster Cult, Dragula by Rob Zombie. Eventually, you got Ghostbusters by Ray Parker Jr. And then you will kick yourself about this one, Midnight City by M83.
I went to see them in Prague in 2012,
Yeah.
and they came out late, and I think they only came out late so they could play Midnight City at midnight. It also meant their set got cut short, which is infuriating.
Amazingly, you got 4 out of 6.
That is probably the best I've almost ever done. I think I did quite well in the festival one as well.
Yeah, possibly.
Yay! This is Halloween, this is Halloween. Samuel's doing well at something. That's fucking weird.
You're not going to get the punishment because you actually got more than 50%.
Can we just hear what that sounds like anyway? It'd be like a mashup. Creep City. Demons are coming back again! They're trying to pinch out my eyes! Okay, right. That sounded alright at the start, but the tempos were so different.
Yeah.
It was like, oh no. Yay! 4 out of 6. Suck it. Everyone who thinks I'm bad at this, just because I got nursed into a few of them, doesn't mean I just... Fine! That was really good. I enjoyed that one very much.
Oh, weren't those tunes nice? Do you know what
Yes.
goes nicely with a tune? Someone talking for, I don't know, non-stop 20 minutes. Sam, do you have a story?
Oh boy, do I. I think this is the one that everyone, well, you and I have been looking forward to, especially. And actually a lot of our listeners, because they're dying to know what happened. That fateful Halloween evening in 2004 at Bella's Halloween party. Despite sharing a mutual friend, I didn't really know Bella all too well back then. So I was quite surprised when she invited me to her Halloween fancy dress do, albeit at the last minute and as a +1 to Peanut. As such, I was wholly unprepared on the costume front. Cue a frantic but sadly futile scrabble for ideas. A bit like today. My sole prop was a bandage around my right wrist, which had been covering a genuine wound, which I won't go into right now because that has a story of its own. I probably could have passed this off as part of a more elaborate costume were I not so lazy, but decided to wing it with some random bullshit instead. By contrast, Peanut went above and beyond with his costume, renting a full-size bunny outfit replete with oversized head. It looked kind of creepy, actually. but he seemed very cautious of it getting messy lest he lose the deposit, so kept it literally under wraps until we got there. We arrived at 7 p.m. to a bustling party with characters of all shapes and sizes present, making my lack of costume appear that much starker by contrast. I combated the inevitable social anxiety in the one way I knew best, by quaffing several bottles of continental strength lager, as if I were hell-bent on obliterating my liver from all existence. To aid this process of inebriation, I decided to throw absinthe quite literally into the mix. Though a seasoned drunk, I was far from an adept alchemist, resulting in a disastrous 50-50 absinthe lager concoction.
Jesus fuck.
They were stubby bottles, but that doesn't make it any better.
In continental Europe, bread is too long, beers are too short.
Not wanting it going to waste, and sparing little thought for any repercussions, I downed the entire thing in one go.
Fucking hell.
Stubby bottles, what, 250ml?
Maybe 330.
Okay, so half of that, but absinthe. That's an entire evening's worth of absinthe spaced out in a sensible way, and if that's all you drink. This ill-advised cocktail wasted little time in metabolizing, sending my brain into disorienting disarray within mere minutes of choking it down. Of course, walking in a straight line had become something of a real issue as my balance seesawed in opposition. I eventually found Peanut shuffling around the upstairs landing, not in his bunny suit, but in a floor-length cocktail dress, replete with full facial makeup. My query regarding such a dramatic wardrobe change was met with a bellowed, "I swap with Lucy!" before he just grinned foolishly and wandered off. After heading back downstairs, which in of itself was a real challenge, I decided to open another beer, thus commencing this intemperate train wreck of a binge I decided to embark upon. Unsurprisingly, recollection of events go a bit wonky after this.
Quelle surprise.
Lucidity briefly returned as I drained my unteethed lager before idly lobbing it in a random direction. It narrowly missed Ollie, glanced off a conservatory door, and ended up almost hitting a 12-year-old kid in the face before smashing to bits right next to him. The child in question was evidently the younger brother of a much more fearsome-looking bloke who stood a good 3 years and 5 stone over me. Were all my senses correctly operating, I would have no doubt gauged how much danger I was in. Seeing as this was far from the case, his enraged accusations were met with tactless blurting of, "He's too fucking young to even be at this party anyway." Amazingly, my rational and thought-out comment was none too well received, serving instead to ignite fires of rage in his eyes. With hands balling into fists, he declared me as nothing but a fucking chav, and that I needed to leave immediately, lest things escalate beyond words. Any potential amusement garnered from me, of all people, being dubbed a chav was eclipsed by the growing fear of getting my block knocked clean off. He was a big bloke. In a flash of common sense, I cut my losses and sheepishly made an exit, tail between legs but face mercifully intact. The altercation had left me feeling very out of sorts, so I sought a place to lay down for a bit. With nowhere else to go, I attempted to re-enter the party via the back garden fence. Following several failed attempts, I realised the gate right next to me where I'd been trying to climb was unlocked, so I opened it and stumbled on through. Did I mention I was drunk at this point? Like, Christ.
Did I mention I may have had a few drinks?
Yeah, a few ales. I groggily stumbled around before passing out behind some bins, too afraid to venture back indoors for obvious reasons. My stomach had other ideas, though, jolting me awake and launching its chunky contents over the bins before allowing me to pass out once again. I was presently disrupted, yet again, though this time by a very excitable Sam, who had evidently spotted this vomit spectacle. He ran indoors excitedly, telling Peanut that Reg is back! Reg is back! In a near hysterical tone. They both ventured outside to witness yours truly, splayed out by the bins in dangerous proximity to a generous helping of my own vomit. Sam betrayed their silent arrival with an excited whispering akin to a child who just stumbled upon a dead body or a rotting badger corpse. Though they weren't really far off the mark in the latter regard, I guess.
It didn't die.
Assuming the worst, my defences immediately went up, causing me to clumsily lash out and scream, "Get the fuck away!" in the hope that my sudden outburst would send them fleeing. My attempts were in vain, as they stood fast, watching in morbid amusement as I attempted to stand up and stagger in their vague direction. After repeatedly demanding they get out of my sight, I charged toward them with intent to do harm. Luckily for them, I had all the spatial awareness and coordination of a senile vole. Seeing me suddenly veer left and careen full pelt into a child's swing set. Whilst I... What a fucking idiot. Whilst untangling myself, I turned to face the duo, now in fits of hysterics, and told them, "Why don't you go hang yourself off the swings and you..." I believe that was verbatim. Realising that I must have truly been under absinthe thrall, they managed to calm me down before shepherding me indoors. I'd evidently misjudged their intentions, with them appearing to genuinely care about their embarrassingly sozzled friend, rather than hurl the usual abuse I was commonly subjected to by them. I was led into a quiet spare room, left to slumber uninterrupted, along with some others who had also overindulged. Sadly, my much-needed sleepy times were once again cut short due to some rather intense gastric turmoil. Quick to act, I shunted open a nearby window just in time to liberate forth a huge, violent stream of acidic, painful puke. Once finished, I felt 100 times better, letting out a contented sigh whilst wiping grease from my lips and smiling lazily. I wish the same could be said for around a dozen or so unfortunate partygoers assembled in the conservatory I'd just unleashed a river of sick upon. One can only envision their unfurling horror at hearing loud, splattering sounds and looking up to witness greasy trails of gastric gloop slowly oozing down the translucent corrugated roof. This is where our paths converge, Alex.
Dear listeners, I was at this very same party. The details of most of it I don't really remember, but one thing really does stick in my mind. I was upstairs. I think I was going to the bathroom or something, and something caught my eye, a movement of a person by a window. So I looked into this room, and I saw this man sort of trying to feed himself out of this window. But the only part of the window that opened, the window that you open in this situation, was about, I don't know, this is sort of about this tall.
It was the top window.
It was the top bit of a window that opened. So it's you sort of at a weird sort of L shape with your face smushed into this tiny little opening going bleh, and just this river of vomit coming out down the window onto the conservatory. It was like, I'm so glad that I experienced this. At this time, I did not know Sam. Now I know him, and yeah, it sticks in my mind.
I'm not fucking surprised that happened. All right, I always thought that you were in the conservatory. I didn't realise that you were that close to this fucking idiot just vomiting.
I was in the hallway while you were vomiting out the window. It wasn't until when we were in college that I actually put you and that scene together and went, oh.
Oh, it's this guy. I hope he doesn't stick around forever. Oh, no. You actually revealed some details that I either forgot that you told me or I just learned something today.
I tell people that story. That's how I met you.
That was our inception. Anyway, clearly taken by surprise, a nearby drunk arose, leaned over and sprayed chunks down the bedside wall, with some splashing back at her face. Though initially feeling a tad smug that I had not managed to commit a similarly disastrous act, I realised the room would soon become uninhabitable due to a rising sickly miasma. Consequently, I wandered back downstairs to join those who were a bit more alive and a bit less vomit-slicked. Fewer. After assumedly evacuating Bella's conservatory, many people were stuffed into the lounge. Making my way to the only available floor space, I made myself comfy and attempted to verbally engage with the surrounding people. Feeling calmer and safer, albeit still incredibly cunted, I ended up falling asleep. I was awoken once again. Not by a need to vomit, but thanks to Bella's sozzled dad attempting to graffiti my hand using a green marker. He managed to clumsily scrawl the word knob before giggling like a 12-year-old at his own prank mastery. This was secondary to the fact that somebody had crushed sour cream and onion Pringles into my hair whilst I was sleeping.
How did you know the flavour?
Because the person who did it was holding the can and laughing. That's how I know the flavour.
Oh, the smoking gun.
Disoriented and furious, I let forth an incoherent tirade of profanity, all whilst thrashing about like a distressed out-of-water salmon. Bella's dad mocked my hissy fit, jeering, "Ah, shut it, Kevin! Whee!" Surprisingly, this verbal onslaught gradually diffused my anger, with me seeing the funny side and laughing along with everyone else. I was rendered docile once more. I'd actually recovered enough to make conversation by then, so stayed up until the wee hours with some other stragglers. The clocks having gone back an hour meant I technically lasted longer than usual, despite my mid-show blackouts. We all drifted off naturally at around 4 a.m. Exhausted from conversation and laughter. By some miracle, I emerged from my ordeal feeling the least hungover out of almost everyone, which evoked a quietly smug feeling. That's because I threw up all my alcohol. It's not really something to be proud about, is it, Sam? After everyone else woke up, we sat around trying to piece the evening together from various perspectives. It was evident that pretty much everyone suffered at least one drunken blackout at some point. Peanut had fallen victim to some groin trauma, no thanks to Bella kneeing him full pelt in the testicles for some unknown reason. She denied such accusations at first, claiming that Peanut must have kneed himself in the nuts, despite this being practically impossible. Also, Peanut said that he witnessed the girl that threw up in the same room as me. They were just crawling along, and then they threw up, and they tried to scoop their sick up and put it in the toilet. Oh, God. Anyway, said person actually walked into the room, gave me a hard stare, and just said, "You make me physically sick, Reg," in an almost despairing tone, which saw uproarious laughter erupt from around the room. She also took it upon herself to clean my sick off the bins, despite me saying that I would quite happily do that, but whatever. Anyway, we all decided after that it was time to go home, and I spent much of the journey reflecting on events of the past 24 hours, concluding that, on balance, I had a pretty fucking awesome time. My decision to so frivolously mix alcoholic drinks was undoubtedly ill-advised, though I doubt it would have been quite the ridiculously eventful evening had I paced myself and drank sensibly. Not that I even knew how to do that back then.
And to this day, you still don't.
Yes, I am a master of moderation. Shut up. I know what I'm doing. That was my story time. There we go. Thank you. Probably my most eventful Halloween. Apart from the time when I was 8 years old or 10 years old and...
Hello?
That's just fucking spooky. I don't know what that was.
The
Shit.
spring!
Anyway, when I was like 10, we did trick-or-treated someone. They opened the door and said, "Go away." So I squirted him in the face with the water pistol. My parents had a go at me. What? Like, you're supposed to trick them if they don't treat you. If they're going to be stupid enough to open the door and tell you to go away. Like, Christ.
Probably my most eventful Halloween would be the one Halloween at Swanton House. It was fucking great. I can't tell that story.
Well, also, Halloween in Nottingham, where we went to see Fear Factory, went to that student union party, and that guy got his dick out in the rain. Just jumping up and down with his penis flapping around.
Just like wiggling it about.
What are you doing? And why? This is the apex of your evening?
Do you know what I need to do? I need to reveal myself to people on the night bus.
Oh, you didn't have a good time because you were trying to put like contacts in your
Yeah.
eyes, weren't you? And they just fucking ruined your eyeballs.
Yeah, they fucking hated my eyes.
They live in your eyes. 3 claws on his knees. He's not human.
It was good evening though. Apart from I had, eye trauma.
That was the best time I've seen Fear Factory, and I've only seen them twice because they were, well, let me clarify. The lead vocalist was shit when I saw them at Bloodstones.
From quite an adventurous time you had at a Halloween party, Bella asks a related question. She asks, "Have you had any weird paranormal activities?"
Again, because I sort of don't believe that ghosts in the traditional sense are a real thing, but when I was younger, was not quite as cynical. Even then, not personally, but our home in Wittersham, we believe, was occupied by the spirit of the guy that died there before we moved in for a little while. It's because weird shit would happen, like our cat being scared of objects previously fond to him, electrical appliances inexplicably malfunctioning, such as the freezer would just randomly switch on to fast freeze, and it never did that back at the old place, so it must have been a ghost. Anyway, and the downstairs curtains, we'll go to bed and they'll be closed, and we'll all come downstairs and they'll be open again. It's like, well, none of us came downstairs during the night, so who the fuck opened the curtains? Spooky. Turns out it was my mum sleepwalking, a habit she had recently adopted since moving house. I guess it just...
I was going to say, was someone actually a somnambulist and you didn't know?
And the cat was just being the cat, really, just being fussy, just deciding to not like his favourite chair that he used to like.
Maybe all ghosts are sleepwalkers.
Maybe when you sleepwalk, that's a ghost possessing you, and they just make you do stupid shit like his stepbrothers. However, it doesn't explain the time my brother, who was 2 or 3 at the time, when he pointed upstairs and went, "Where's he gone? Where's he gone?" We were all downstairs at the time. What the fuck did he see?
How old was your brother?
2 or 3 years old.
It could just be because it's a small child.
He seemed convinced that there was someone up there, though. He had no filter as well. Maybe he's insane. Sub-sound, you're insane. It's proven. 20-odd years later, you're nuts. Sorry. It could also be that directly at the top of the stairs is the window to the back garden, and it probably saw a bird.
There's many plausible possibilities.
What about you? Have you had any, not necessarily paranormal, because we've clearly ruled that out, but like anything that's made you go, "Oh, what the fuck?"
When I was a child, mostly, I spent many years living in pubs, and typically country pubs are like old, so they're just a bit spooky. There's this one place in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. For some reason, there was a set of rooms up a staircase, and the staircase had been on fire, just the staircase, and I wasn't allowed to go up it because it was dangerous or something. My sisters, being easily twice my height and weight, with a fine on it, they could go up there, but not me.
Scary stairways and
Yeah.
spookums pubs.
Mystery rooms, because I could only barely see into them because they're up a little staircase, and yeah, just when it's just a pub in the middle of nowhere, it's just a bit creepier.
Yeah, I mean, I used to be creeped out by when it was like the dead of night and you couldn't see the end of a hallway. That used to freak me out when I was little. And I wouldn't go to the toilet at night time because I was too scared to get out of my bed because it was just fucking pitch black everywhere.
Yeah.
And that led me to... I can't remember if I've told this story, actually, but I desperately needed a wee. And I was just like, I don't want to piss the bed because Mum will have a go at me. So I pissed on the carpet, but not in the corner like a normal person would. I had 6-year-old logic. If I spread the urine over the entirety of the carpet, it will dry quicker. So I pissed everywhere on the entire carpet. And my mum just came in the morning, and I didn't hear her come through the door. I heard her foot squidging on my wee.
Oh. Oh.
All because I was scared of the dark. So
I too, as a child, was scared of the dark as well. I never pissed on my entire carpet because of it.
There's a logic behind it. It was a 6-year-old's logic. His limited world knowledge. Like,
There is logic to it, but it's still bad.
it's the dumb thing to do. If you didn't have a control of what was going on in that room, you would probably tread on something squidgy at some point.
Yeah, with this face on, I've stood on a bag on the floor twice and I thought, that's the cat. Ah!
Luckily, you've segmented all your clutter in it within arm's reach, so let's go ahead and justify some of that.
It's the time for clutter. Oh, shitting fuck. This will boot.
Hello?
It's a flatbed scanner.
Oh, for fuck's sake, Alex, did you just... Was this off eBay?
Yes, like everything else is. So, nothing special about it. It is just a flatbed scanner.
Is it broken?
No, it works. It's fully functional. I assure you. I haven't got 2 of them.
That's probably the scariest thing ever. Like, something that you bought that works. I'm so frightened.
As an adult, I found that having a flatbed scanner is something that is just convenient to have. So I own a flatbed scanner. Here you go. Crypt of Clutter.
So the scanner's not cursed at all or anything?
No.
So you don't scan it and then it just, like, whatever you scan, it makes into some horrifying machination.
Not yet. I haven't done the proper incantations.
Your gas bill can't turn into something physical that can hunt you down. You are overdue!
I do want to take a picture of my face on it, print it out and laminate that paper and then put it in a jar.
And then put it in an attic, right?
Fill it full of some liquid like vinegar or whatever and put it either in the fridge or in someone's attic.
The scan of Dorian Gray.
Still this beating laminated piece of paper.
If you start here and then move your face with the light, it creates this horrible stretched effect, and then stop at the end, so your face would be normal on the left and right, and just this stretched lips and eyes in the middle.
I have so many things to keep myself occupied on a Sunday afternoon now.
Don't sit on it, though, because you'll break it.
Yeah,
and nobody wants to see, like, bleeding balls on the scanner.
I almost bought an A3 because they're useful for, if you want to make replicas of things in CNC, because a scanner is very accurate at taking a picture of it to scale. If you put it on the flatbed and scan it, then you can digitize that picture into vectors.
I like a good vector, me.
I've done it on...
I'm going to make these sort of swing, because they all need to be swinging, because that one has not really had a lot of action.
No.
That's very violently swinging, that one. Like... This one's almost hit me in the
That's
eye.
a bad idea.
If this hit me in the eye and I was 96 years old or whatever, I would probably have to go to hospital. And the Queen went to hospital recently for some unknown reason, didn't she?
Yeah.
But
I think the whole being 96 doesn't help.
she's the same age as my grandma if she was still alive. So 95, maybe 96. Old as fuck. I'm trying to carry over and segue into the final question of the day, which is actually 2 questions from Ace Abe and Purple Goblin. What would the Queen dress up as for Halloween?
I've heard that the Queen has quite a sense of humour, so I'm sure she'd choose something quite interesting. And having very broad budgets, I'm sure she can make a real spectacle of it.
She could just dress up as Prince Philip. She was already in a hospital. Maybe that was it. She was actually she's just doing a fancy dress. I don't care. I just hope she fucking dies soon so we can all get a bank holiday. Why won't she die?
She's made that 10-year pact.
Oh, yes, she has, but she made it very late in her life. Like, very late. To be honest, I reckon she would probably dress up as her mum and just as a zombie. The Queen Mother. Who's going to succeed the Queen? Is there is Kate, what's her face, going to step up or whatever her name is?
Do you know how hereditary monarchies work? Go to the next in line. So normally it would be the eldest son. Charles would normally be the next.
Oh, he's still alive, is he?
Yes.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Oh, see, these people just live forever, don't they? Why did the rich live so long?
Andrew is a nonce, so he's probably not going to do it.
It's painfully evident, listeners, that we're not really big fans of the monarchy.
They're just people that are kind of overly related to other similar families within Europe.
I wish she was dead, and Alex wishes that she would use her imagination.
I imagine she'd do a good job, but I don't know
okay.
specifically what she'd dress up as.
Maybe she would dress up as a member of the Spanish Inquisition, which is the second part of the question, which is, what was the Spanish Inquisition really about?
There's a very clear answer about what actually the Inquisition was. I
Right.
can't remember all of it. This is more of a let's read Wikipedia kind of answer.
Was it something to do with witch hunting?
No.
Okay.
It was-
So that's now I'm deciding. Okay, well, that was my original answer, but that's what I thought they did.
People think they were witch hunters. They kind of did that, but it was more about getting rid of heresy.
What would happen if they existed in modern times?
The Inquisition still exists.
Not really active, are they?
Not in the same way. So to quote from the most reputable of sources, Wikipedia, the Spanish Inquisition was intended to maintain Catholic orthodoxy in their kingdoms and to replace the medieval Inquisition, which was under papal control. So it's a Catholic thing. If you're happy and you know it, that's a sin.
Don't clap. Clapping is a sin. The Spanish Inquisition.
Yep.
Nobody expects them. Nobody expects anything of them anymore. Just get on with it. If you really want to know what they're about, go and ask.
Knock on their door, say, "Oi, what are you doing?
They look at you and go, I'm sorry, I wasn't expecting you.
Would you like to talk to our Lord and Saviour an extended warranty on your car?
You can't ever come up from someone's swimming pool.
Can't chew on a cigar whilst driving into the sea."
That seems like something Mickey Rourke would do for some reason. Christ. Well,
Christ indeed. One could say that was unexpected.
but you know what is expected?
The inevitable heat death of this episode.
It's finally it. We did it. We survived this harrowing hour of horror intact. Physically, we did it, but perhaps not mentally. Thank you for joining us for our Halloween special. We hope you enjoyed the various tales of horror and vomit. So much vomit.
So much.
Can't even describe it using words how much vomit. When I say I coated the bins outside, you better believe that that was not hyperbole. You can watch the horror of Always an Adventure unfold on YouTube, or spook the bejesus out of yourselves over on Spotify. If you head over to Twitter, AAA_AlexSam, you'll be scared at how we've managed to amass such a modest following. Whilst you're there, why not tweet us a question to feature on our next episode, because people do that.
Or maybe tell us about your pooing adventures.
Yeah, and your scary adventures, or misadventures, perhaps. Thank you, everyone who did submit spooky questions. I hope that we answered them to the standards that you continually expect from us here. That really is it for now. Time for us to return to the depths from whence we came.
The unknowable horror that is Bob tells you to take care, take care, take care.